Welcome to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah, and this is a podcast all about crochet, some knitting, some sewing, I have both today, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. If you are looking for me anywhere on the interweb, you can find the links directly below in the drop-down. I am the Cozy Cottage Crochet on Instagram and Facebook, the Cozy Cottage on Ravelry, and we do have an awesome Ravelry group for this podcast. Speaking of Ravelry groups, I am so excited because it is nearing the end of January, and the amount of finished objects that have been posted in the Love Your Stash Cal chatter thread and finished objects thread is kind of mind-blowing, as well as the hashtag on Instagram. There are some fantastic prizes that I have. I haven't put together the prize packages yet because I have kind of some things from different places, but I will show you those in a later episode. I do have some prizes that came in to show you as well, though, right now. Well, not right now. Let's do that in acquisitions. Excuse me. I have a little bit of a cold. And by a little bit, I mean I had a whopper of a cold earlier this week, and I had zero voice at all. So if I cough or sniff or you just, the volume may be slightly lower this podcast episode, please just turn it up on your computer. I honestly can't talk any louder because my voice is not there. So I'm gonna have to take some sips of water. But I wanted to make sure and get a podcast episode up for you guys. So let's talk about CALs just briefly. The Love Your Stash CAL is running until the end of February. So if you have not yet joined in, you have plenty of time. Whips are completely allowed. There is no limit on how much they are done. There's nothing, as long as it's a whip and you do not buy any new yarn, except like if it's a blanket and you need one more ball to fix it. As long as you don't buy any new yarn, you can enter it into the Love Your Stash CAL. You can have bought the yarn up through Christmas Day or received it as a gift. So the mantra is use the good yarn because you're worth it. And some of the most beautiful projects have been made. And then also we have kind of an informal knit along, make along for the year of the sock 2019, which I have some progress to show you. Sorry. That's 2 sips of water already, and we're like 2 minutes in. This may be a crazy episode. So those are the 2 crochet alongs that we have running at the moment. Definitely go check them out. The link to the Ravelry group is directly down below. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, inquiries at all related to this podcast, please shoot me an email. That is the absolute best way to get a hold of me. My email is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. I don't put that down because I don't want my email address to be like attacked by a bunch of spam bots from the internet. So just know you have to listen. It's thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. How are you guys? That was kind of a long intro, wasn't it? I just want to say thank you to everyone who sent me well wishes and thoughts and prayers from the last 2 weeks episode. I am feeling a lot better. Everything moves in the right direction. I have just a couple more things that need to kind of resolve, but I am feeling so much better. Of course, the minute I started feeling better, I got a giant cold the day before I had to leave on a work trip for this entire past week, Monday through Friday. Today is Friday. It's like 3:30 p.m. I have been awake since 3:30 a.m. because we had to catch a flight. So, yeah, I don't know. I made it all the way through Christmas, through all the stress, working lots of overtime because I work in a church and Christmas is like basically go time. And then I made it through all of the other health issues which were not related to a cold or a flu. And then as soon as that was over, my body was like, oh my God, germs? I can have those, right? Ridiculous. But I'm definitely on the mend. Really, the worst part of the cold only lasted like 2 days, and now it's just kind of the leftovers, you know, like you keep coughing forever. So I have finished objects, works in progress. I have some acquisitions to show you that are amazing. And I have some sewing. I have a giant sewing segment this week, which almost never happens. But basically, the last 2 weeks have been split up into 2 weeks. That sounds ridiculous, but it has. So the first week I focused on crochet. I focused on sewing every day because I knew I was going to be out of town this week, and I did not have a lot of room in my suitcase. Actually, I was sharing a suitcase with another coworker, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to take crochet with me because we were working pretty much all day planning out the rest of the year for my job. So I only took knitting socks with me because I can do that and not look. And I really had to pay attention and use my brain. So for the first week I crocheted and I sewed, and the second week I knit socks. I'm a little socked out, honestly, but I've made a lot of progress. So that's fine. I don't have to knit socks for another couple of weeks. So without further ado, let me jump in to my first finished object, which is a pair of socks. Here is one. This colorway is Knit Picks Felici, which Felici is one of my favorite yarns. It's so soft and I love the stripes. I will say it does pill quite a bit, but I'm pretty hard on my socks. And don't look too closely at these. These are dirty. I finished them like the night before we went on the trip, and that gave me just enough pairs of socks to wear a different wool pair every single day this week, which was much needed because I was in North Carolina, about an hour outside of Asheville. We were on a mountain, and I don't know the name of the mountain, but there is a lake called Lake Toxaway. It's like 30 minutes away from a little tiny town called Brevard. And it was freezing. This morning when we left at 3:30 a.m., it was like 19 degrees. No, I can't handle that. So I needed another pair. So these are dirty. I got home this morning. I have not washed them yet, but they're wool, so you know they don't smell, right? I love the stripes. This is going to be pair number 2 for the year of the sock 2019. I want to knit 12 pairs, so I'm pretty excited. I definitely think that that's possible. And you can see it's a little baggy because I stretched them out and when I wore them, and they were in my boots all day. My big fuzzy boots, because I don't wear regular boots because I'm from Florida. My feet would fall off. They would literally turn into ice cubes. So I'm entering these also into the Sock Theme Cal 2019 that is being hosted by Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast. This is for February socks, which the theme for that is Love is in the Air. And I have nothing but love for Knit Picks Felici. I have nothing but love for the self-striping yarn, for the colorway, and also the colorway is called Wizard. Y'all know how much of a Harry Potter fan I am. So these, giant thumbs up. This is a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I did this without looking at the instructions at all, and now I have done 2 more Fish Lips Kiss heels without looking at the instructions, and I feel like it's cemented in my brain for good. So Alice, Alice is the person who gifted me the Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern on Ravelry. Thank you so much, because I have used it and I love it. There's my finished socks. Now these can go in the wash once I'm done with this episode. Of course, I throw them in the washer and the dryer, and I don't care because I cannot be bothered to hand wash socks. No. But wait, I have more finished objects. So I had a pair of socks, and the rest of my finished objects are hats, and I mean multiple hats. You guys know that I finished all of my hats on hats on hats. Last time I had 8 hats, and that went over really well. They were actually for my coworkers, and I gave them to all of my coworkers when we landed in Asheville before we went outside. And I thought that they would really like them, but I wasn't quite prepared for how much they would like them. Basically, nobody took off their hat for like from Monday until this morning. Everyone was very, very happy with their hats. And I made one for myself because I figured it would be weird if they all had a hat and I didn't have a hat. So that's why I had to make 8 and not 7 of them. They love their hats. One person literally slept in his hat. I was like, okay. So they really love them. And that just like warmed my heart because I have been working on those since September. And they have begged me for hats. And I've said, no, I am not making you anything. I don't love you enough. That's a lie. Of course I love them enough. So the first finished hat I have since that is living in this little sheep bag. And you guys saw this last time. I was about halfway done. It is the Faye Hat pattern by Kelly Martin. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, so you should definitely download it. It's got this like pointy bit at the top. That's why it looks like a little Faye hat. I made it out of Lion Brand Jeans yarn in the colorway Faded. This is 100% acrylic. Lion Brand Jeans yarn is one of my favorite acrylic yarns. It's so soft. I will say it does kind of split a little bit when you're working with it, but I already knew that because I made an entire cardigan out of this yarn. And I held that double with Cascade Kid Setup, which is 61% mohair. 35% silk and 4% merino wool. It doesn't have a colorway name on it, it just says shade 23, but this is the colorway. And you can tell, like, these match so well together. I finished the hat. I finished this hat actually the same day that I recorded the last podcast episode. And there it is. I have worn this several times. I'm gonna get it close. Oh, look at that halo. It is actually fuzzier than that in real life. It's really fuzzy. I have worn this several times. I simply washed this in the washing machine and then I steam blocked it. So I just steamed it really well to soften up the acrylic. I didn't really want to put it in the dryer to soften up the acrylic because I wasn't sure how the mohair was going to hold up, but this is what it looks like. I love it so much. I will say I have worn it several times. One of them was for like a 4-hour span. Now I don't generally wear hats all day. It's just too hot in Florida generally, although it's January, so maybe not. But I was kind of wondering if the mohair was going to make me itchy because I am a little bit sensitive to mohair, to alpaca, etc. I would say it really did not make me itch until about 4 hours in, which I'm not going to be outside for longer than that. So I think that's completely fine. And I am really, really happy with how it turned out. The only difference that I did from the pattern is I did right along the bottom 1 row of knit 1, purl 1 before I went into the straight stockinette because I figured that that would help a little bit with the curl. She uses a very specific type of yarn in her pattern, and I don't have access to that. So, and then she also has, right about here, you switch to a larger needle size, and I didn't really do that. I kind of made up my own gauge for the pattern because the yarn I was using was a lot thinner than hers, even held double with the mohair. So I made the largest size of this hat and then still added another 6 stitches, I think. So I basically just started my decreases 1 round early, and it turned out just fine because the decreases are very intuitive, super easy to figure out. This is the way the decreases are, which I really like how that looks. You've got 3 of them, and you do a knit 3 together, which I've actually never done before, and it's super easy. So I highly recommend this pattern. I loved making it. It's been on my to make list for quite some time, and I am so glad the minute that I was done with my hats project that I was able to cast that on and finish it so quickly because it was such an enjoyable make. So you guys need to make that hat as well if you know how to knit. If you don't know how to knit, don't you worry. I have crochet hats. One of them you already saw, but I have made 2 more. This is my cotton candy slouch hat pattern, which is not released yet. I did send it off for tech editing. There is a little bit of a snafu because I had to find a new tech editor. I have used one tech editor for all of my patterns that have been released so far, and I love her so much. That is Kirsten from Rogue River Fiber Studio. But she has been having some health issues lately, and so she's not taking on any new work right now. And I had a small panic. I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I don't know who to. So I found another tech editor. She does have the pattern, so I should get it back by next weekend. And then I am going actually to have lunch with Maria of Fat Bunny Yarn, who is the dyer behind this yarn, tomorrow. And we will talk about a release date because I want it to coincide with the release of her website. So I'm gonna show you some hats made out of her yarn. And then I will put a link to her Instagram handle directly down below. So go follow her on Instagram. She is posting when she has some of this yarn available right now that you can purchase, I believe. And as soon as the website is live, you will be able to purchase it online. But right now, I'm sure you can message her through Instagram and set it up through PayPal or something like that. So this is the one that you guys saw already. This is the cotton candy slouch. So you kind of put it on. Hopefully you can see what that looked like back there. This is like my favorite thing. I have worn this hat for multiple days all day, and I am not an all-day hat person. Like, I have worn this hat to the point of not being able to take it off because now I have a dent in my hair from the hat. So this is a 1 skein project for bulky weight yarn, and you can make it to fit any head. The only thing I will say is that this is a very specific yarn, and you can kind of tell when I hold it up to the screen. It's not quite focusing, but this is a 2-ply bulky merino weight yarn, so it has a very specific gauge. So you can substitute any bulky weight yarn that you want, like not super bulky, but just any bulky weight, and you can still make this hat. You just need to follow the instructions for measurements and not stitch count. So this is made to fit my head. I have a fairly large head. My head's like 22 inches around. My husband and I have the same size head, and he's like 3.5 inches taller than me, and he weighs more than me too. So my head is pretty big. But this hat you can make in any size. You just need to follow and make sure that you have the right multiple of stitches. I have decrease instructions for the written out stitch count, and I have decrease instructions for other kinds of stitch counts as long as you have the right multiple. And case in point, I made 2 more of these hats, which I will show you. This is the colorway Oh Jessica, which is a Who Framed Roger Rabbit reference, I was told by the dyer of this yarn. But I haven't seen that movie in ages. I haven't seen that movie. I'm going to show you 2 more colorways that she sent me. So I was making, she sent me 2 skeins of bulky weight yarn so I can make a shop sample. So when I meet with her tomorrow, she's going to pick which one she would like for a shop sample to take with her when she goes to shows. So the first yarn is this beautiful pale peachy kind of pink yarn, and this is the colorway Bunny Ear. This is her tag. Hand dyed in Clearwater, Florida. This is 100% superwash merino wool. You get 109 yards per 100 grams, and it is a bulky weight yarn. So this is how much I have left of this yarn. And then the second yarn, I have about this much left. Not very much at all, so you can use an entire skein of this yarn. This colorway is Love Matters. It's kind of a dusky, kind of like a dusky, dingy kind of a pink, which I really like as well. You guys know I'm a hot pink person, but I really love this pink as well. So this is Bunny Ear. Now this one is the same size as the one I made. So this one will fit my head. Actually, the other one will fit my head too. I just have to stretch it. So this is what it looks like. Oh, I rolled the brim up. There. This is what it looks like. I think if you can wear pastel colors, this hat would look great on you, this yarn. I am not really a pastel kind of a person. I think it washes me out. Like, you guys, look how pale I am. Maybe that's because I haven't been outside in, I was gonna say eons. That's excessive. A while. And I have been sick all week. That's probably why. So anyways, you can see the texture. This is Bunny Ear, and this one is a little bit smaller, and this is Love Matters. So this is kind of a speckly yarn, and I really love how it works up with just like little pops of the darker color. The pom-pom is totally optional. You don't have to have a pom-pom. In fact, I just tied these in a bow on the inside so that she can take one out if you want. And my pom-pom on my pink hat is tied with a bow as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna put that on. I don't wanna stretch it out. I have a giant head. So yeah, I made both of these. They take max 2 hours to make one of these hats, including pom-pom, weaving in ends, etc. I'd say if you are a pretty quick crocheter, you could get this done in like an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, probably. It's such a fast make. I am so happy with it. I can't wait for her to see these tomorrow. And I doubly had to record a podcast today because I'm giving her the choice of which one to put in the shop tomorrow, or to use as a shop sample. So I am really excited about this hat. It will be released hopefully by the next time I podcast in 2 weeks. Like I said, it's off for tech editing right now, and as soon as I get it back and just coordinate a date with her, then we will launch this pattern. The last thing I wanted to talk about in finished objects is, what am I wearing? My frost shawl. Now you guys saw this last time that was finished. I have since washed this. I steamed the heck out of it because I didn't put it in the dryer, and that super softened up the acrylic. You can see it's like really drapey now. This is the only, other than my hat, the only crochet warm kind of thing that I took with me to North Carolina, because as I said, I had a very small amount of space and I had to take projects that I was working on, right? So this kept me warm. I wrapped this up, and on some of the really cold nights when we would go out to dinner, I had this up over my face like this. And I just pulled it tight and it stayed, and it kept me warm. And my throat especially was killing me all week, and I kept coughing, and with this in front of my face, it was the best. So I'm wearing it right now because it's actually pretty chilly in Florida. It's like 40 degrees. And this pattern is now live on Ravelry. So there was an announcement video that went out 2 weeks ago, a few days after I recorded my last podcast, saying that this pattern is available. You can get this on Ravelry, and I will put a direct link to the pattern down below, as well as to all my other crochet designs. And I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who supported me in this design. I feel like it's the design people are most excited about right now, and that just makes me really happy because I really, really love this. Once the cotton candy slouch comes out, I have some more shawl designs in the works in my brain. I haven't started them yet. I know I'm going to have some commissions in a few weeks as well because people have been asking me to make them things, and I have been saying, no, I'm too busy. So now that everything has kind of calmed down since Christmas and with my health, I will probably be doing that. So who knows what interesting projects I may have in the future. I have some whips as well. I'm going to talk about the 2 cardigans first. This is what I worked on before I went on a work trip. So the first one I want to show you is, this is the Soft Gray Cardigan by Cat Golden. It is a Tunisian crochet cardigan. I am using this purple yarn, which is a Louette Gems yarn in the colorway Eggplant. I have 7 skeins of this yarn. This is the second skein that I am using. I'm definitely going to run out of yarn, but that's okay. I've already committed to that. I complained last time about my Tunisian hook, that I was fighting with it and fighting with it and fighting with it. So I want to talk about, I got a replacement Tunisian hook to try out. And so since the last time you saw this, this is where I was last time, where that stitch marker is. I have done this much. Now, this is all of the increases complete for the sleeve. So now I just need to work even until it reaches a certain length. And I may not work quite as long as it calls for because, as we have discussed previously on this podcast, apparently I have short, stubby little arms. So that's some progress. Basically, I sat down and did 1 repeat of the increases, which is 5 rows every night last week. And that's about as much as I want to do. I am not really in a hurry to finish this project, even though it is for the Love Your Stash Cal. I just really want to enjoy it. And if I do too much Tunisian crochet with a worsted weight yarn on this gauge, it kind of hurts my arm. So I think 5 rows is about as much as I should do at a time. But I love how the yarn is working up. We discussed last time that this yarn did not want to be anything but this cardigan. That's still true. Still true. And you can tell that I ran out of the first skein of yarn right here. Like literally 2 rows before the increases were done. So it's definitely going to be a 2 skein sleeve. That's a lot of yarn for a sleeve, y'all. So let's talk about the hook. So this is the hook I was using last time. This is a Knitter's Pride Dreams Tunisian crochet hook. You can see that it's long. It is incredibly pointy, which I found very difficult to work with this yarn because it constantly splits the yarn into pieces. It's just too pointy for this yarn. And I had complaints about the cable because I'm just fighting with it all the time. So what I did is I ordered a Denise Tunisian crochet hook. Now I have one of these that a lovely viewer of the podcast provided to me, but it was in a 4.5 millimeter size. That's normally the size I use the most, but I couldn't get gauge with that for this pattern, so I needed a 5 millimeter, and I had just swatched with that other hook. I hadn't made an entire project. So I went ahead and ordered a 5 millimeter, and what you get is the hook itself, you get this cable, and then you get 2 stoppers. So you can make this a 17-inch or a 23-inch. No. So if you put this little cable on this hook, you get a 10-inch hook. This right here is 17 inches, and if you attach this cable to this cable, which you can totally do, you'll get a 23-inch. And if I, for some reason, need it to be way longer than that, I actually have 2 cables in the other hook that was given to me, so I will have a much, enough length. So one of my complaints about this hook is that This join doesn't matter how much I tighten it. Like right now, it's loose. And I haven't even used it in 2 weeks. I haven't used this hook and it came undone. So it doesn't matter if you tighten it with the key, it will not stay screwed in. And that drives me insane. Like, if I'm gonna pay for something that's interchangeable, it had better work. I have my Gu red lace knitting needle interchangeable set. They don't come unscrewed. One time I have had a knitting needle come unscrewed from that set, and it's only because I didn't tighten it with the key. This comes unscrewed constantly. So this doesn't actually screw in. You actually just turn it and pull it out. So all I have to do is stick it straight in and then give it a twist. And now it is locked in place. And then you do the same thing with the cap at the end. And then if you want to attach anything, it has a twist lock. And it takes some muscle to twist it. It's not impossible, but there's no way that just by natural crochet rhythm that you are going to unlock this. And I have not had it unlock at all the time I've used it. It is plastic, which is a little bit of a complaint because it's bendy. I don't love that I can bend it, honestly. I will say I was a little bit skeptical originally before I had any of these hooks because I don't like using plastic very much. I find that it doesn't glide very well. This is incredibly slick, incredibly smooth, and the top is pointy enough to go through the yarn, but it doesn't split the yarn, which is a lifesaver for this yarn. Because this yarn is just not very tightly plied and it's so easy to split. I will say that this is an inline crochet hook. It's not tapered, which drives me nuts. I much prefer a tapered hook. So I have had some splitting problems going back through on the return pass on the Tunisian crochet because I'm not used to there being so much width here. I really have to wedge the yarn underneath the hook part so that it doesn't split. But I feel like it's much better that way because I can fix it as opposed to going in through the knit stitch and just mangling it and making a mess of it. The cable is a little thick, but it's very flexible, and so far, even though it seems pretty stiff, it has not bothered me when I am doing the Tunisian stitches because it's not twisting in a weird way. Like, it's stiff, but it will move with the yarn, whereas this always is this shape and will not do anything else. So I'm pretty happy with this. I am gonna keep working, maybe finish an entire sleeve and then let you know my final thoughts on this hook. This hook was pretty inexpensive. It was like 10 bucks, maybe less. I don't know. I think it was like 10 bucks for this hook. You can get an entire set of Denise Tunisian crochet hooks for like 50 bucks. That's really cheap. And I'm thinking I'm gonna order a whole set, but I wanna work with this just a little bit more. I almost ordered an entire set when I got this because I was like, it's only $50, but that's what I did with these. I just read some reviews and I didn't have any Tunisian crochet hooks, so I ordered that because I thought it would be good, and I bought a whole set, and it turns out I really don't like working with them. So I don't want to buy an entire set of Denise hooks and then hate them. I am pretty sure, like 95% sure, that I'm going to end up ordering an entire set because I want my Tunisian crochet to be experienced to be good, and I don't know, I don't love those hooks. So yeah, this is living in my giant mustard sweater bag that Faye from the Crochet Circle podcast had listed in her shop last year. Love it so much. So yeah, hopefully I'll have some more done on that next time. At least maybe 10 repeats-ish of 5 rows, because that's about how much I do a day. So let me talk about the other cardigan. I have made a little bit of progress on this as well. I am making the Stark cardigan by KT Peterson. She is the person behind KT and the Squid patterns. I am using this Isaac Mizrahi craft yarn. You're not gonna be able to see that. But basically it is a 50% merino wool and 50% acrylic yarn that I got almost 2 years ago. I have blue and red. So I have finished the back panel, which you guys saw last time, and now I have finished almost a front panel. Excuse me. Dying. So the only thing I have left to do on this front panel is I need to do the bottom border oh my gosh, I have more than that. I need to do the bottom border, and then I need to do this side border. So I probably actually have quite a bit to do still on this front panel, but I have done all of the stripes. The border is going to be in this blue color because I have more of that. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to work on the border on this right away, or if I'm going to do the left front panel and then do the borders on them both. I don't know, but I am really enjoying working on that. I had a kind of a when crochet attacks moment working on that because I kept working on it and it was late and I didn't feel very well. I should just put it down. That's what you're supposed to do, right? But I got all the way, I got halfway through it and realized I had the wrong stitch count because I was decreasing like I did on the back panel instead of reading the instructions where I only had to do half of the decreases. So I ended up with way less stitches. So I had to rip it all out back to the first stripe. Then I fixed that. I got all the way up to the armhole shaping, and I must have done the armhole shaping, no joke, 4 times. And I just could not count. First I did too many decreases, then I didn't do enough decreases, then I completely lost my place and just ripped the whole thing out to the beginning of the armhole shaping. Ugh, it was ridiculous. But I finished it. But let that be a lesson to you. Just don't. If you're having a trouble with something, just put it down. Put it down. You will have so much more fun if you just give it a rest until the morning. I have 2 sock works in progress. Yes. Language is not my strong suit today, clearly. I have a frog in my throat. Is this going to be the episode where I just cough the entire time? So these are the projects that I took with me to North Carolina. And I am really, really happy with how much I got done. I got 2 entire socks done, minus the toes. So I had already done the toes on these socks before we left because I have to count when I'm doing the toes, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do that and work at the same time. So the toes were done. And then the first pair is living in this bag. This is Christmas Flamingos. This was made by Caleisha of the Quirky Monday Craftcast podcast. I guess it's just Quirky Monday Craftcast, isn't it? Not Craftcast podcast. That's a little redundant. In here, I have needles. I have an Ocean's pouch. This is a cupcake made by Clarisabeth of CrochetCakes. It is a very treasured possession. And these socks are my March socks for the Sock Theme Cal 2019 by Claudia of Crochet Luna. And the theme for March is feeling lucky. So the reason that I picked these socks is, number 1, they're green. But number 2, I am the luckiest person in the world because the yarn was hand-dyed by Caleisha. And she does not sell her yarn, so I am very lucky to even have a skein of it. But also, I am just very lucky to have Caleisha as a friend. Love you. Love you, Caleisha. So this is the first pair that I have done contrast toes, heels, and cuffs on. I am using just some gray Knit Pick Stroll. I will say I'm not thrilled with this gray yarn, and I don't know if maybe it's just the ball. If you use this all the time, let me know. This is really fuzzy, and it splits kind of easily. It's not, I don't love it as much as Felici, and I feel like it's the same yarn pretty much, just not self-striping, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. So this is the yarn that she dyed. So green. Also, I should say, Caleisha's last name is Ryan because that is an Irish name. So this fits even more for the feeling lucky theme. So I did a contrast toe, and then I started in with this yarn, and look at how it is striping up. She did like a dip almost, and I showed the skein of this in the last podcast, I am pretty sure. And the reason I'm doing contrast toes, heels, and cuffs is because there's 50 grams, and I don't think I can get 2 entire pairs out of 50 grams. So I did the toe in green, and then it starts striping. I had no idea it was going to work up like that, but basically you get these white and dark green rows about every 3 rows, and then in between there's this light green. Here is my Fish Lips Kiss heel and the cuff. The only thing I should have done, rookie mistake, was not thinking, is I should have done the last row of stockinette in this gray yarn before I started the cuff because now you can see the purl bumps. But I feel like that's okay. They're gonna be on my feet. I have not washed these. I have not weaved in the ends because, you know, I was on a work trip. I am so excited. I just love how this sock worked up. And I have started the other one. I did do this toe in the evening. A toe takes me about an hour. So I did the toe one evening. And then on the last day of work, I got this far on the second sock. And this is a little pendant that she sent me from Nerd Bird Makery, which is so, so cute. So yeah, I have one sock already done. I think I am gonna take a little bit of a break from socks because that's all I've worked on for an entire week and my finger is a little sore. But yeah, I love this yarn so much. Thank you, Caleisha. And then I worked on one other sock that I had the toe done already on. Ooh, let me put all of this back in the bag so it doesn't go all over the place. It is, of course, Living in My Sock Bag by Slip Stitch Studios. And this yarn was sent to me by Melody of the Melody Crochet Podcast. Hi, Melody. She hand-dyed this herself. It doesn't have any, like, makeup information, but I am almost 100% positive this is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend, and it's this bluey, purpley yarn, and I have 100 grams. So I finished a sock. Oh, my bags were covering up my sock blocker. I could put this on the sock blocker so you can see. I haven't weaved in the ends on this either, but that's not going to take very long. So this is what it looks like worked up. I didn't do any kind of contrast heel or toe or anything on this one, but I love these little specks of purple. I just love it. I have not started the second one of this because I didn't have time to sit down and count through the toe increases. So yeah, I have been knitting my fingers off while working this week, which was super, super nice to be able to do that. And my boss was totally fine with it because I was paying attention and I wasn't even looking down. Let's move on to sewing. I have been sewing every day for the first week of the 2 weeks since I've recorded a podcast. Obviously not last week because I was out of town, but for the week before that I made it a goal every day when I go home from work to sew for at least 20 to 30 minutes because I had a very specific goal in mind. So I wanted to use the tea towel that I got in Ireland to make a bag for myself, to like a special memory bag. That was my whole goal when I bought it, and I have done it. I sewed every day. So I have some finished objects to show you that I'm really excited about. So the first one is this bag. It's got a wrinkle, but it says, "Let it snow." It has a fox with a scarf on. It's the same on both sides. This is actually a tea towel that someone gave me for Christmas. It's just like a little hand towel. You can't, oh, maybe you can see. It's got like these pale blue snowflakes. I did not have any fabric that really matched this. I have like a super, super tiny fabric stash because I'm really only just getting my feet wet into sewing, so I haven't had a chance to buy much of anything. So this is from when I first sewed, like my very first bag ever. I got this at Joann's, and it's this crazy polka dot fabric that I really, really love. And I know it doesn't really match, but I love it. So this is a simple drawstring bag. It does have a box bottom. It only has a 1-inch box bottom because I wanted to save as much of the tea towel as possible. So this is the crazy polka dot fabric. I suppose you could make this reversible. The only thing is it does have a little bit of a seam right here where I closed the bag and flipped it inside out. So it has, which you can't see because of the fabric, but it does have a pocket right here. It's not a very wide pocket. I can't get my whole hand in there, but it would be perfect for hooks, etc. So even though you can't really see it, it does have a pocket. That was fun. And then I made the drawstrings using this sparkly blue ribbon that I had just kind of laying around. Melody sent this to me last year along with some other ribbon that I've used for drawstrings. And I really, really like it. So I'm really proud of this bag. I think it's adorable. This is practice number 1. All of the seams came out good. The box bottom came out good. Just very happy with this bag. Then I made 2 more bags, but I made these with zippers to practice my zippering, which I will say, I know people have strong feelings about zipper bags. Like, they're like, oh, my yarn always gets caught in the teeth of the zipper. I usually don't leave my yarn cake in the zipper bag. When I'm working on it, I take it out and put it next to me or on my lap or wherever in a yarn bowl. The yarn is not in the bag, so I never have a problem of the yarn getting caught on the zipper. And I really like zipper bags, especially for traveling, because then I feel secure that nothing is gonna fall out. No hooks, no needles, nothing. It's all in there, it's all secure, and it can be closed tightly, and I just feel a lot better about that. I will say sewing zippers are a pain because you have to do so many steps, but the end result is definitely worth it. I made 2 identical bags. This fabric I got last year sometime. I believe it may have been almost a year ago. I got it on sale at Joann's after the winter holidays were over. I definitely got this on sale, and definitely from Joann's. I just can't remember when exactly. So these are the same kind of bag, except it has a zipper instead of a drawstring. This has a bigger box bottom. So this is a 1-inch box bottom. This is a 2-inch box bottom. So you could fold this over and it's not lined or anything. I mean, it's lined, it's not interfaced. So this is what the fabric looks like. And you can see that it is sparkly. That's my favorite thing. This is the zipper. There's one zipper tab, and there's the second one. And they both have them. They both have zipper tabs. And then let me turn them. These are identical bags. I made them both at the same time. Turn it inside out so you can see. The inside is this blue plaid. It's not sparkly. But these also have a pocket. And this is a bigger pocket, so I can fit my whole hand in here. These aren't zipper pockets. I really didn't want to bother with a inside zipper. Too much work. Too much work. So I am really, 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 really happy with these. These are going to somebody. I don't want to say who, just in case they're watching. But I have wanted to make these into gifts for a particular person for a little while now, and I'm just really, really happy that I got the chance to do that. I'm definitely way, way better at zippers than I have been previously. I'm dying. Dying. Melodrama. I'm not really dying. So this was the effort of, I believe this was Monday. This was Tuesday and Wednesday. I worked on these, and they are done. And then I worked on something else, but I'll show you that in a second. This is what happened on, I think, Friday last week is when I did this, but maybe it was Saturday. This is the tea towel that I bought in Ireland with sheep on it for the express purpose of making myself a bag to have like a super awesome memory. So first I had to find a fabric that would match. And what I found at Joann's was this 4-leaf clover green fabric, which I think matches perfectly. I will tell you, I was very fussy about this bag. It took me like 20 minutes just to cut the fabric out, and I tried to use as much of it as possible. I still have like 3 individual sheep left, but if I had made it the exact way the tea towel came, it would have been like this wide, but still only this tall, which I thought was kind of weird. So I made it into more of like a shawl bag. You can even tell at the very bottom, it's got the logo of the tea towel on it. So I made this. This is a 1.5-inch box bottom because I wanted to save as much of the sheep as I possibly could. I am super, super happy with how this came out. It has a handle. Now, I technically interfaced the handle, not with actual interfacing, but this tea towel had a black kind of folded over sewn hem around the whole thing. So I cut all of that off before I cut this fabric. And then I put a strip of that inside this so that this handle is really, really sturdy. You can see my stitching, pretty even. You can't see any stitching anywhere else because all of the seams are hidden. Let me show you the inside. I'm really proud of this too. So this is what the inside fabric looks like, which I think goes perfectly. we've got the little seam at the bottom where I closed it. And I made a pocket on this that is one sheep size. So this is a pretty giant pocket. And I actually, because the tea towel, I was concerned it was going to fray. Even if I just turned it over and stitched it down, I was concerned it was going to fray because the fabric is kind of woven a little bit loosely. So I actually cut strips of the lining fabric and sewed it all the way around and then sewed it down. So it's basically got an edge casing. The raw edges are enclosed so that it will not fray or come undone. And then I just have, of course, my drawstring casings and a simple black ribbon. So there's one sheep on the inside. And then there is all of these sheep on the outside. And there you go. I decided I wanted it to be a drawstring and not a zipper bag. But hey, that's why I practiced. I haven't used it yet. I didn't take it on my trip because I just don't want to lose it. I don't know, I need to find a special project or maybe a new design to make with this. This is like the most perfect bag I've ever made. But it took me several hours because I was so meticulous. And I actually didn't have to use the seam ripper at all. Everything worked out just fine on this bag. So I made 4 bags, which they're all spoken for. This one obviously is mine. I don't sell my bags. I know someone's gonna ask me that. I don't sell my bags. I do not want to make a production line where I just make hundreds of bags and put them up, because that to me is boring. And I know that it would be much faster and more efficient if I made bags that way instead of making 1 and finishing it, or 2 and finishing them. But I need completion in sewing. I don't want to make the same thing a billion times. I will get so bored and then I will quit. So I don't sell my bags. Every once in a while I'll make one as a podcast price, but this one's definitely staying with me. But I have one more thing that I worked on in sewing, which you guys saw before, but now it's finished. And it is my Harry Potter dress. This is the Stevie dress, which is a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. I'm not going to be able to get the whole thing in the frame, but it is finished. Last time I had the whole thing put together, but I didn't have the inside edges finished. I didn't have the sleeve cuffs done, and I did not have the hem done. So I finished all of that. You can see the sleeve cuffs, they're rolled. And in the pattern, she just has you tack them down, kind of like in 2 places. I find whenever I have sleeve cuffs on anything that they come unrolled, so I actually tacked these down like a bunch. So you can see that's my sleeve cuffs. This is my hem, which you can't really see the stitching. I mostly went in a straight line, so that's good. And you can see that I finished the edges of the hem as well. And then I put on a button, which is a little bit hard to see because of the fabric, but you can see that it's sparkly at least. And it has a button loop closure. So if I undo this, this is how you get it on over your head. This fabric does not have drape because it is quilting cotton, but it does fit perfectly. And my favorite part is something I actually added that was not in the pattern, and it's pockets. Pockets on both sides. So I am gonna wear this possibly on Sunday to church, if it's not freezing cold. But what I'm gonna do is I have a black belt. It's not really a belt to go around your pants or anything. It's like to go right under your bust. And I'm gonna wear that because I tried this on and it looks a little sackish just hanging by itself. I mean, the fabric is super cool, but it still just kind of hangs. It doesn't have any drape because it's quilting cotton. So I put a belt on right underneath my bust and it instantly changed the entire look of the dress. I don't have a picture of me in this because I haven't worn it yet, but I'll try to get one for next time and insert it. I highly recommend Tilly and the Buttons patterns. This is the first one I've made, but it was so easy to understand. And I made some mistakes and had to rip it out, but that was me, that wasn't the pattern. I definitely used like bag interfacing for the collar, so the collar is really stiff, but that's okay. I have apparel interfacing for next time, and this was kind of my practice one, even though it's in super awesome Harry Potter fabric. But I'm really excited to wear it. So I am going to wear this with black tights or black leggings and black boots and a black belt, and it's gonna look amazing. And that is the whole reason I wanted to learn how to sew, and the whole reason I want to sew as part of my 2019 goals. is to make clothing, nerdy clothing for myself. So I ordered the Tilly and the Buttons, I think it's the Cocoa dress, the one out of stretchy knit fabric. So I have some purple knit fabric that I can make that out of, kind of as a practice. And then I actually have two nerdy knit fabrics. One is a Star Wars pattern and one is a Harry Potter pattern, which I am not going to use those until I've made a practice one for knit fabric first. Sorry, my nose is running. That's it for sewing. I feel like that's a lot for sewing. I probably won't be sewing anything today. Tomorrow, I'll just be trying to rest and get over this cold. But once I print out that Cocoa dress pattern, that will be the next big thing that I work on. Let's move on to Happy Yarn Mail, because I got some stuff in the mail. First, let me show you the one thing that I purchased is I went back, there's a tiny little yarn store in Brevard, which is the city at the bottom of the mountain in North Carolina, and it is called Sun Dragon Art and Fiber, and it really is art and fiber. They have a ton of yarn in a very tiny space, as well as oils and paint brushes. So if you are and pencils and things like that. So if you draw or you paint, they have stuff for you as well. That's the card. I don't know if that's focusing, but last year when I was there, I bought one special skein of pink and purple sparkly yarn, and it's been living in my stash, and I haven't used it because I don't know what I'm going to make with it exactly, and I want it to be amazing, right? But this time I went back and I wanted to buy something else, kind of support them, and they had another skein of the same yarn, and it was the last one. This is a local dyer to that shop. It is called Daydream Dye Works, and she does have an Etsy. It doesn't say where this is dyed, but she said it was like half an hour away from them. And then this is the colorway Earthbound Misfit, and you can see how sparkly it is. So now I have two of these, and I can make something incredible with two of these. So I'm really, really excited that I got to support that shop, support a local dyer, and I got another skein of this amazing yarn. Because all year I have been like, man, should have bought another skein. Now I have one. And if you bought my frost shawl pattern, you paid for that skein of yarn. Just FYI. I got some stuff in the mail. I have to show you the cutest thing in the world first. Caleisha obviously sent me a giant package of happiness a few weeks ago, which made my whole life. And she said she left something out, so she put it back in the mail to me. I don't know if you're going to be able to read this. This one is a llamacorn. Oh, maybe you can read it there. And this one says Llama Stay. This pen, this Llama Stay pen, needs to go with me everywhere for the rest of my life. I wanted to take it on my trip, but I was afraid I was gonna like lose it because it's got kind of like a pop back instead of a clasp back. So yes, these are definitely going on project bags. Immediately, I had to show you them first, but these are the greatest thing in the world. Caleisha, the best. That was the best day. I also got a package from, I'm sorry, there's gonna be some rustling, I can't help that. Maria, who is Fat Bunny Yarn, the dyer behind Fat Bunny Yarn, who I said I'm having lunch with tomorrow. So exciting for me. We collaborated basically on that, my cotton candy slouch hat pattern. Words, I can't words today. I bought the yarn, oh Jessica, but then she sent me, I asked her if she wanted a shop sample. And she sent me 2 skeins of bulky weight yarn, and she sent me a bunch of other stuff as well. So you already saw the 2 kinds of yarn, which I'll just give you a peek at again. This one's bunny ear, and this one's, I don't remember, mallard. Yeah. So these are the 2 bulky skeins of yarn that she sent, which I immediately made into hats. And she included a bunch of other random stuff. Maria, you are so nice. So there was 150 grams of her hand-dyed bunny base yarn, which is 80% wool and 20% Angora. And if you don't know, Angora comes from a rabbit. I've never used any kind of yarn with Angora in it. This is her colorway Mauve. Am I saying that right? You know, Kristen from Vine Yarns always says mauve, and I've always said mauve. Is there a right way? Comment below. She sent me 3 skeins of this yarn. This yarn is amazing. I love the depth of color of the pink. Like, you can tell that there's little pops of neon, but from far away, you can't really tell the variegation. So it's like an amazing kind of tonal. So I'm really excited to use that. I don't know what I'm gonna use it for. Something amazing, because I have 150 grams. She sent me a giant sunglass case holder, which actually is really funny because I was gonna buy one of these the other day, like a month ago, and then I didn't. And inside is a carrot pen, yes, some knitting needle stoppers, the biggest paper clip I've ever seen, some neon stitch markers, which are my favorite thing. These are going in my sock bag immediately. And then a cable needle and some other kind of notions, like a needle and a little stitch counter. And there was a tape measure in here that I already absconded with and put in my sock bag. Also, she made me two little dishcloths. This is one, and this is the second one. I have been dying to use these, but I wanted to show you them first. This is the second one. Maria, they're so nice. These are too nice to be used as dishcloths. These are going in my shower. These are gonna be like face cloths. They're so pretty. But wait, there's more. Let's see. This is a giant fluffy pom-pom. I love it. I need to make a hat specifically for this pom-pom. This is the fluffiest, hairiest pom-pom I have ever seen, and I am obsessed with it. So there's that. She also sent something else I have been dying to use. A cat project bag. It's more like a tote, like just a regular tote that you would buy, like not a project bag, but like, let's be real, this is definitely gonna be a sweater size project bag. Look at this cat face. The best. And then there was one more thing, which I haven't had a chance to try yet because I have been gone. Sorry, too much rustling. And I'm gonna try and do this without spilling it. She sent me some tea, and this is the kind of craziest tea I've ever seen. It smells amazing. It's loose leaf, and I'm gonna infuse some. I am pretty, like 100% sure that this has caffeine in it, so that's why I haven't used it yet, because I need to do that only in the morning, not at night. So I'm gonna infuse some of this tomorrow morning when I wake up. These are nerd teas. So they are from Fandom Blends, which is adagio.com. There is Chew Brew, Hermione's Blend, and Mischief Managed. And they smell amazing. This one is like vanilla. Oh my gosh, it smells like an ice cream cone, like a freshly baked ice cream cone. And you're not really gonna be able to see because I don't want to dump it out everywhere, but it smells so good. This one, it says on it, it's orange, vanilla, and marigold. It smells delicious. And then this one doesn't really say what it is, but ooh, I just got tea up my nose. That's something that normally happens in my life. This one, I can't really place what it is, but it's a very familiar smell to me. I don't know. It smells like Christmas and warm things. This is like the greatest thing I've ever seen. So excited. Thank you so much, Maria. You did not have to send me any of that. You are the sweetest. And as you can see, I've already used the tape measure and made 2 hats out of your yarn. And I can't wait to use your Angora yarn and then get back to you. I'm kind of tossing around like maybe I could design something with it, but I'm not sure. I don't have any ideas. So maybe I just need to sit with the yarn for a little while. And then some people have donated prizes for the Love Your Stash Cow. So are you guys excited about this? Because I am. I have some prizes to show you. This first box came right before I left. It's a big box, I'm sorry. This box is from Kim, who has been such a longtime viewer of this podcast, such a supporter. I know she follows me on Instagram. Woo! I'm almost dropping everything. So thank you so much, Kim. She contacted me and said, I have some yarn. I'm not going to use it. And would it be okay if I send it to you to use for prizes or whatever you want? And I said, yes, because I love running cows. I love giving away stuff. You guys are so generous with your time, with your resources, with your kind words. I love being able to give away stuff. I have given away tons of stuff from my own stash. I've bought some things to give away. And part of the Love Your Stash, Cal, is if you have a yarn that you just know you're not going to use, maybe you can send it on to someone else who you know will appreciate it and be able to give that yarn a purpose, right? So she sent me, I opened the box and I was like, whoa, I was not expecting a box to arrive. She was like, yeah, I have a little bit of yarn I'm going to send you. This is not a little bit of yarn. So let's just go through. There is a mandala baby. This is the colorway Neverland. Actually, there's two of them. 2 Neverland mandalas. So these will definitely go together. There is a Bernat Softy Baby. I love this mint. This is the colorway Mint. That's so pretty. I don't think this colorway looks very good on me because, again, pastels. But for anything, but I would love to make a baby blanket out of that color. There's a Karen Cake. Look at this. This is the colorway Lemon Lime. There is a giant skein of Red Heart with Love. Colorway Peacock. It's kind of like a dark teal. It's coming up blue on the screen, but it's really more of a teal. There is a Big Twist Chunky skein of Chunky Deep Purple. I really like Big Twist yarns. Before they were Big Twist yarns and they were just Sincerely, it's basically the Joann's brand of yarn. Like Loops and Threads is the Michaels brand of yarn. I really like this stuff. There is another Red Heart Soft in the colorway Teal. And then there are three Sweet Rolls in the colorway Blackberry Swirl. There's 3 that look just like this. And then she also sent a set of pink handled ergonomic crochet hooks and 2 long Tunisian blanket hooks. So you can make like a scarf, a giant scarf with this. I think these will be really great. I'm super excited to be able to gift Tunisian hooks because I think everyone should try Tunisian. It's super, super fun and I really, really enjoy it. And then she also sent something specifically for me, which was sock yarn. And I've never used this before. So I was really, really excited. This is definitely going to work up into a rainbow. This is Red Heart, Heart and Soul. I believe you can get this at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you can get it online, but I've definitely, I think, seen this at Hobby Lobby. This is the colorway Jelly Beans. And you can see, these are definitely different dye lots. Or maybe they're not, because that kind of looks more, I don't know. Let's see. Dye lot 476 and 440. Yeah, they're definitely different dye lots. But they're going to be such cute socks. I'm so excited. And she wrote a sweet, sweet little note. And I just want to show you the stitch marker that she sent. Like little Christmas lights. So I've kept the stitch marker in with the sock yarn because I don't know which month this sock yarn will be going for in the year of the sock, 2019. But I'm going to use that stitch marker as soon as I use this yarn. Thank you so much, Kim. That was incredibly sweet of you. I had no idea you were sending this much yarn. So you should enter the Love Your Stash, Cal, because there's going to be a lot of prizes. And then I do have one more giant box of things to show you because it just came in the mail today. I think it was supposed to arrive on Tuesday, but maybe it got lost or something. It definitely got abused in translation. The postman just knocked on the door a little bit ago and I ran to open it, and the size of the box sitting on my doorstep, I'm gonna have to go off screen for a second because it's so big I can't even like put it over here. I can't even fit it in the screen. I don't want to get anyone's address in the screen. Look at this. The box is a little worse for the wear. I believe it got attacked by the Postal Service. This is also a person. This is from Amanda. Hopefully it's okay that I said your name. She also contacted me and said, I have some yarn in my stash that I'm not going to use. And I have a lot of yarn. So can I send you some yarn to use for prizes? Of course. This box is as big as, like, I feel like I could fit in that box. Amanda, you did not need to send this much yarn. This is crazy. So I haven't even looked in here other than to just glance. So this is going to be us discovering what's in this giant box together. And I don't even know what to say. Like, thank you feels like nothing compared to the size of this box. So let's just start, shall we? There is 4 skeins of this ice yarn, which I've actually never used ice yarn, but I've heard good things. This is 100% baby acrylic in the colorway Magic Baby. Probably would be enough. It's 400 grams, so I'm sure it would be enough for a baby blanket. That's so pretty. There is 4 skeins of ice yarn Dancing Baby. I don't think this is baby yarn. Yeah, I don't think this is the baby yarn. This is 100% premium acrylic. I'm definitely going to open one of these and touch the yarn. Sorry if you're getting that as a prize. I touched your yarn. There is 3 skeins of Angora Active. Ooh, this is 75% acrylic, 25% Angora. You can't really tell through the plastic, but it's definitely got like a beautiful halo. I'm going to touch this yarn too. Here is 4 skeins of Magic Light. Beautiful. And 4 skeins of, I think I can read the colorway. It might be just Magic. I don't know, the colorways are kind of hidden on this one. But it's like a pink, black, so pretty. So far that's 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19 skeins of yarn. We've barely made a dent. This is 6 little balls. I'm going to show you this side. So it looks to be like a single ply yarn with sequins. I apologize for the crinkling. I'm going to pull one out so you can show you more effectively. This is wool palette. Ooh, just almost dropped it on the floor. 31% wool, 65% acrylic, and 4% palette? That must be the sequins. So this kind of reminds me of Knit Picks Chroma. That's what I would say it's comparable to, except it has sequins. So that's exciting. So there's 300 grams of this. There is, ooh, what is this? Whoa. Look at this bulky yarn. It's like a cloud. This is Stylecraft Cozy Chunky. So there's 200 grams of this. And it is 59% acrylic, 15% metallic, 14% alpaca, and 12% nylon. These are really cool. This would make like the softest, fluffiest hat. So I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, but basically there is a metallic thread surrounded by fluff. Or maybe it's the metallic thread that is plying the fluff together, perhaps? I don't know. That's really exciting. I've never seen a yarn like that. Let's see. There is 2 mini skein sets from Cloudborne Fibers. This is 80, that Cloudborne is Craftsy's yarn company. This is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and you get 575 yards total. So they're little gradient sets. That's amazing. Oh, there's another one. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Look at this set. That's gorgeous. There is 1 giant skein of Karen Jumbo in the colorway Peacock Variegated. Ooh, I could totally put this with the red heart peacock. That would be such a good prize. They would go together and you could make like a beautiful scarf with these two. Oh, perfect. Oh, there's another one. There's two of these. This is both in the 2 mini skein sets in the colorway House Sparrow in this beautiful brown variegation. We're not done. Are you guys as shocked as I am? Oh my goodness, there's yarn flying out. So let's see here. We have from Knitting Notions, organic cotton in a sport weight. That's really awesome. This would be, if you win this as a prize, I hope I mean, you can do whatever you want with it, of course, but this would be perfect for like a washcloth for a baby or something like that. This is very soft cotton. That would be perfect. This is Manos del Uruguay Silk Blend. It's got a tag right on top of the content, but it's 30% silk, and I'm assuming the rest of it's merino, but this is a single ply. This feels like 50 grams, but there's a sticker on top, so I'll take that off and tell you guys later. There is one Barocco Modern Cotton. I'm sensing a color theme. There is, ooh, what is this? Amber's Yarn Shop. The colorway Baby Elephant in a worsted weight. It doesn't have any yarn content on it. It's kind of like a rustic wool, but it's hand dyed. I'm assuming this feels to me like a non-superwash. So I'll probably write that if you win this for a prize, just to let you know. There is Starseed Yarn, which I've never heard of that dyer, but this is beautiful. This is an 80% superwash, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. That's gorgeous. There is Post Yarn. This is also an 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon blend. This is a one-of-a-kind colorway, so it doesn't have a colorway name, but it is a beautiful pink. That's gorgeous. There is from Little Fish Stitches, 80% superwash Blueface Leicester, 15% nylon. This is also a fingering weight, but it's tweed. Look at that. That's amazing. There are 3 of these Wayfarer. This is 100% merino, 382 yards for 100 grams. So it's a kind of a plump fingering weight. Look at this pink. That's amazing. That's pretty soft yarn too. I really like that. You guys know I love pink. And then there are 2 of these by Audine Wools. This is a knit crate yarn, colorway Blush. This is 50% alpaca, 30% wool, and 20% nylon. I think this is like that grubby pink that I like so much. These I will definitely give away because I think 50% alpaca yarn I would not be able to wear. But this is beautiful. There's one more bag. There's one more giant bag. So let's see what's in here. Are you guys as surprised as I am right now? I don't know what to do. Okay, so we have some Karen Pantone. Ooh, look at these. I love that. These, I was actually looking at some of this the other day in Michael's. There's a possibility I may keep these because I want to make, I have something in mind, but I don't know, we'll see. Oh my gosh, I'm dropping everything. It's not surprising. There is alpaca lace from Cascade Yarns. It is 100% baby alpaca. This is a lace weight, so you could totally hold this double with another yarn and make the Faye hat. This is Steinhard yarn. I hope I'm saying that right. 70% merino, 20% silk. This is a really interesting yarn. I've never seen a yarn that looks like that before. This is another Cascade alpaca lace. Cloudborn cotton, Pima cotton DK. You could totally make knitted knockers out of this. Karen Simply Soft. Stitch Studio by Nicole. I like this. This is kind of like a blue plaid. It's from AC Moore, which I don't have one of those around me. There are 2 skeins. This is also a knit crate yarn, Vidalana, colorway Pimento. I love this orange. And then this is a Cloudborn Fibers. It doesn't really say what color it is, but this is Superwash Merino sock yarn. I wonder if this would be all black with like micro stripes of pink and blue. And then there is a baby blanket. So there's 1 skein of this, Simply Yarns Acrylic Super Bulky. And there's 1, 2, 4 of this Fair Isle yarn from Yarn Bee, which is 80% acrylic and 20% alpaca. Oh my gosh. This is like, Amanda, this is gotta be like, so, I don't know what to say. This is so much yarn. And there is one more thing in the bottom of the box, which she sent specifically for me, which I will show you. I did open this. I peeked in the box before I started recording, and then I opened this. And she specifically sent these for me to keep and not give away, which I will happily do. She wrote me the sweetest note in the world. And in here are 2 just absolutely beautiful glass stitch markers from Ann Tudor Artisan Glass Stitch Marker Makers. They're so pretty. There's also a macaroon. I'm gonna use this as a zipper pull on the cat bag that Maria from Fat Bunny Yarn sent me. And then a tiny skein of yarn. And this, I am probably not gonna use this as a project keeper. I think I'm gonna make this into a necklace. That's too pretty. And inside, I don't know what to say right now. There is a strange brew of Woolen Vine yarns. This yarn is so hard to get a hold of. Everyone knows the Woolen Vine sells out immediately. I personally do have a skein of Woolen Vine yarn in my stash that I haven't done anything with, but I'm hoping this will match and now I can make something with them. This is on the Nuvo base, which is her single, 100% superwash merino single. It's so pretty. A strange brew means it's a non-repeatable colorway. Colorway? And then there are 2 Knit to Go sock clubs. Year of the sock! Year of the sock, you guys! So this is a collaboration between Hugh Loco and the Grocery Girls. I've actually never heard of this, but I am a super fan. This is the colorway. Let's see. This is the May sock club of what year? I don't know. Maybe last year. This is Money Cake. And then it has a matching mini for heels, cuffs, and toes. And so you get 400 yards of this main color. It's an 80-20 superwash merino nylon blend. And then this one down here, you get 87 yards, so it's 20 grams. And it's a 70-25 blend, meaning it has 5% sparkle, stellina. And this one is, actually this one, I don't know which month is, like I don't know what the colorway is necessarily for this or this one. But this has 2 50-gram skeins of this color and a matching mini as well. That is so beautiful. I will definitely use them for the year of the sock. That's kind of insane. I don't know. You can see this giant pile of yarn next to me. plus I have this whole box over here to my right that Kim sent. So Kim, thank you so much. So much. And Amanda, thank you so much. I can't believe I'm in utter shock. I will keep this giant box, and the prizes for the Love Your Stash Cal are going to be great. I was actually thinking about maybe taking a break from Cals once that is over, just for a little bit, because I didn't know if I would have any prizes available for a little while. But this is insane. I will have prizes available probably for the rest of the year for this podcast. At least for another entire crochet along and some special giveaways along the way. So you guys are such supporters of this podcast, and it really just blows me away. And I know I say that every time someone is really sweet, and I know like the knitting community and the crochet community generally are nice people. Not all the time, but like mostly. But I don't know, like I just don't expect such generosity from people. Like you sent this yarn that you're not going to use so that other people can love it and it can have a home and it can be made into a project. And that's the best thing in the world, to be able to make something beautiful with your own hands out of yarn. And this is going to turn into so many projects for people around the world who will be able to get this as a prize. So thank you feels like not enough, but wow. I am literally speechless right now. I wanted to talk. I know this podcast is getting long. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I have so much to say the last couple of weeks, but I did want to continue our conversation that we started last podcast episode so basically on Instagram, there has been a conversation going on for the past several weeks about inclusion in the yarn and fiber community, and where there's been conversations about people of color have experienced racism and prejudice even in our community, where, like, to me, the knitting and crochet community is a safe space. I've never had anyone be super nasty. Now, I will say, I put myself out there on the internet, so there are people who say nasty things and comment them below. I delete them. If you said something nasty, I just deleted your comment and I did not respond to it, because don't feed the trolls, right? But I feel like that's a little bit different than just someone in regular life having a negative experience from a place that is all about inclusion. So I talked about it last time. I want to talk about it a little bit more because I want to talk about some practical things you can do in your own life to become a more safe person for other people of color around you. And I understand it can be a little bit grating to hear me talk about it because I am not a person of color. Clearly, I am super pale. And this is what I would liken it to. And it's not the same thing. I completely understand that it's not the same thing. However, I am in a field, a heavily male-dominated field. And as I said in the last podcast episode, there's patriarchy out the wazoo. I have been told countless times, you don't belong here, you have no voice, I don't want to listen to you, you have nothing to contribute. And so, as a person who is advocating for women's rights in my field, which is theology, I can talk until I'm blue in the face, right? But if the men aren't listening, like they're already not listening, so they're not going to listen to me because they're already predisposed to not listen to me. So what I actually need is for a man to speak to the men and tell them why it is important to support the equality for women in this field, right? And across all of it. So am I a good person to speak about prejudice and racism and the rights for people of color? Of course not, because I haven't experienced it in any way, shape, or form the way that people of color have. However, if there are people who aren't listening to what they have to say, they're already not listening, but maybe you are listening to me because you're in my audience, because you're already following me. You know that I am completely not okay with anybody being treated like they are less than, like they are not the beautiful people, the beautiful makers and creators that they are. I am not okay with that. I try very hard to make my podcast a safe space for everyone, no matter what race you are, what ethnicity, what color, what gender, it doesn't matter. This is a safe space. And I have the ability to speak to people who maybe haven't heard from someone else. And that doesn't make me great. Like, please don't comment and be like, thank you for speaking out. No, I'm just trying to be a decent person. I don't need a thank you. I'm doing what we all should be doing. So some of this is not necessarily fiber related, but I shared a little bit of this on Instagram, and I just wanted to talk about it with you guys because these are some practical things you can do in your everyday life to be a more safe person for people of color. And I'm going to try and explain this the best way I know how. If you are a person of color and any of this makes you uncomfortable, you disagree with me for any reason, please comment, please message me, please correct me. I am just speaking out of my own experience and the experience of my family. My sister-in-law married a person of color, and they have a beautiful, beautiful adopted mixed baby. And just what he goes through on a regular basis blows my mind. So it is not my intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable or unsafe. So if you do, and you are a person of color, please tell me. I will apologize immediately, and I will do my best to rectify the situation. So here's a few things. This is just a list of things you can do. Number 1, this is a basic human rule, but please don't touch. Don't touch. Nobody likes to be touched by a stranger. I've only been around my nephew, who is of mixed descent, I've only seen him for the last year that he's been a part of our lives since he was adopted. And the amount of people who try to touch him and touch his hair and touch his skin is insane. No, stranger danger. Don't touch someone's skin. Don't touch someone's hair. That's their body. You're violating their space. And this goes for, of course, any person. But I know that people of color constantly are dealing with people trying to touch their hair and don't ask if you can touch their hair or touch their skin. That's weird. Just imagine how you would feel if someone came up to you and said, "Can I touch your hair?" What? No, get away from me. No. So please, if you just see someone and you automatically try to touch their body, that shows a lack of respect for them as a person, their space, their personhood. Please don't touch people across the board, but especially don't touch people of color. And I don't mean your friend who you're giving a hug to. I mean a stranger that you're seeing in public. If you have a relationship with someone where you're like, "Oh, hey, how good to see you," of course I'm gonna hug people all the time. But if a stranger wants to come and touch me, no, please don't. Number 2, don't make up a nickname for a person of color, or don't tell them, or I should say, don't tell them that their name is too hard to pronounce. They know, okay? And don't tell them you're just gonna call them something easier, right? You've got to make the effort to learn their name. They had no choice in being named, just like you had no choice in being named. And take a tiny bit of effort to learn their name. They can use it on a regular basis. If you have a hard time understanding what they're saying to you, ask them to repeat it, but don't just say "what," because I understand it's difficult. If you're in line at Starbucks and you say your name and the other person's like, "What?" and you say it again and they're like, "What?" It can get really annoying, right? So this is what I try to do, is I just say, "Please be patient with me. I had a hard time hearing you. I want to make sure I get your name right." Just say, "Please be patient with me. I want to make sure I get your name right." That's just respect for another person. It shows that you value that person as a person. Like I said, they have no control over their name, and they probably love their name. They may not love that everyone mispronounces it all the time, but the only reason so-called white names are normal to us is because we've heard them our entire lives. Just imagine me, a random person from Florida, being transplanted, I don't know, in Russia. I would have the most difficult time pronouncing everyone's name because I don't speak that language, right? So just try to remember someone's name. Use it on a regular basis. Don't make up a nickname for them. And I will say this is hard for me because I have hearing problems. I can hear okay as long as there's not background noise. If there is background noise, I have a very difficult time deciphering what someone is saying, even someone who is speaking perfect English to me. So when there are sounds that my ears don't necessarily recognize, or someone's speaking to me with an accent, I have a really hard time understanding what they're saying because I can't decipher the sounds. That's not an excuse for me to just pretend that I understood what they were saying and not use their name. No. Instead, I simply say, "I'm so sorry. I have a hard time hearing. please be patient with me. I really want to learn your name. Can you go slowly, sound it out for me? And then I want to say it to make sure that I'm getting it right. And I know that may sometimes irritate people to have to repeat it, but then I really do try to remember the name next time so that I can say it appropriately. Because that's value. That means you're valuable, right? If someone remembers your name, let me just have a random example of this. I worked with someone in my last job for 5 years who misspelled my name in every email correspondence he sent to me. Now, he was in a position kind of above me, and I'm not sure if he was threatened by me. I'm not a very threatening person, but I don't know. I know that he knew my name, and he purposefully misspelled it forever. And I didn't correct him because I didn't want to make waves, but every time I got an email that had my misspelled name on it, it made me mad, and it made me feel like he was doing it on purpose and he didn't care about me as a person. And that is a small, tiny example. Like, I have a pretty average name, right? Hannah, it's pretty easy to pronounce. Just imagine if that was kind of your life all the time. Just being like, no one knows my name. That sucks. So, I lost my place. I made notes so I wouldn't forget anything. Let's see. Next. Try not to ask a person of color where they're from, or maybe a better way to say that is, what are you? Like, don't ask someone, what are you? I know that, like, as a white person, that may seem like an innocent question. Like, if someone asks me, oh, like, what are you? I would be like, well, all of my dad's family is Jewish. I was born in Virginia. Like, I would just say that, right? But I very, very rarely get asked that. Like, almost never. And if I do get asked that, it's based on context. Like, I've said something that makes someone ask me that. Not just because I appear to not fit in, quote unquote. So basically, if you ask someone, what are you? It can create feelings of anxiety for a person of color, because if they tell you the answer, maybe you're not going to accept that. And I guarantee you, most people of color have had experiences where they have said what race they are, what ethnicity they are, where they're from, globally, and somebody has had a negative reaction to that. So they probably don't want to tell you. And if they do tell you, you should have a positive reaction. But it normally doesn't matter in conversation. Like, you generally don't need to meet someone and ask them where they're from. And where are you from is a more innocent question than what are you? But still, it can really make people feel uncomfortable. And I personally have asked that question to other people and had them say, that makes me uncomfortable when you ask me that, even though I know that you're going to accept my answer and treat it with a positive reaction. So for me, that was a learning experience to say, okay, if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm not going to put you in that situation because I care about you as a person, right? And also, P.S., if you're in America and you're asking an American where they're from, they're probably from the same place you are. Related to that point, try not to say things like, wow, you don't have an accent, or wow, you really don't sound like you're from X. Like, so I was born in Virginia. There's not really a Virginia accent. There's a country accent from the South, like not so much in Florida. In Florida, we have a lot of New York accents. But if you're dealing with somebody who is from another place, and maybe English is their second language, if you say, wow, you don't have an accent, it can make them feel like you don't, I'm trying to think of how to say this. If they were hiding their accent, it will make that person feel like they can't be their true self to you sometimes. And it kind of also perpetuates the idea that there's a correct way to speak, which generally is a white way to speak. And I'm not saying this applies to everything, but we all want to speak so that people can understand us, right? Nobody goes out of their way to be misunderstood. That would be ridiculous. So it would be, if someone asked me, oh, you don't have an accent, you're from Virginia, I would think that that's an innocent question. But let me tell you why I would think that's an innocent question. Because I have not been asked about my accent my entire life. It may be fine the first time, or the 50th time, or even the 500th time, but when you've been asked about the way that you speak for your entire life, it's draining and it's exhausting, and Honestly, if you're a person of color who has experienced that, you probably just want to say, it's none of your business, right? Like maybe just listen to the way I talk. In the fiber community specifically, please don't make statements like, oh, I've never seen someone like you knit or crochet before. Nobody, no matter what race they are, wants to feel singled out. Nobody wants to feel like they are a token. Nobody wants to feel like they're the only one, or that they're doing something that's not normal, right? So if you say to a black person, oh, I've never seen a black person crochet before, then they're gonna feel weird, right? Like just like think how you would feel if you say, oh, I've never seen somebody do X before, and you're like, well, I do it all the time. Like it instantly creates a kind of an awkward situation, and people of color get this all the time. I've never seen whatever race you are do X. Okay, but that doesn't mean that they're not out there. That doesn't mean there's not millions and millions of makers of color creating the most amazing, incredible things, designing and dyeing yarn and spinning yarn and crocheting and knitting and weaving and sewing and doing all kinds of incredible things around the world and even in our own country, right? They're there. We just haven't seen them as much as we should. Here's something you can do, and this is something I have a hard time with as well because of just who I am as a person. If I am comfortable in my space, I will talk to anyone. So like at work, I work at a church, I'll talk to anybody who comes in, right? It's totally fine. In my house, if someone comes in, I'll talk to whoever comes over. I do not like talking to strangers in like a grocery store. Now, if you are a knitting person or a crochet person and you recognize me, please come up and say hi, because that to me is a different level than like just a complete stranger. You can lead with, oh, I watch your podcast, etc. I wanted to say hi, and I'll feel comfortable because this is my safe space. Like yarn is my safe space. However, I don't like to make eye contact with strangers. Like I don't know why that is. Stranger danger, right? I don't want to make eye contact, blah, blah, blah. So this is something that I actively work on. When I see a person of color, I just smile. Just a normal smile. Don't be creepy. Don't be weird. Don't maintain a ridiculous amount of eye contact. Just smile like a human. Just smiling is good for us, right? Just imagine how exhausted you would be if after every negative interaction out in the public world, you had to wonder if that was just because the other person was being a super jerk and that's just who they are in their real life, or if they were being extra especially mean and rude because of the color of your skin. You have to imagine how exhausting that would be to wonder that all the time. You don't need to strike up a conversation. If you're passing someone in a grocery store, you don't need to talk to them, and you don't need to expect them to smile back. Just smile. It creates a more friendly environment for everyone. And then last two things are never invalidate the feelings of someone else. So if you say something or you do something and a person of color says, that hurt me, that affected me in a negative way, when you did whatever it was, that really upset me, don't invalidate their feelings. And this is like relationship advice 101, right? If my husband tells me, hey, when you made constant comments about how I drive, this happened when we first got married, when you made constant comments about how I drive, it really made me feel like I was never going to drive well enough. Like we had to make a pact basically to not make comments when the other person was driving because he did it too. But I had to be careful not to be like, well, you're being stupid. Like, why would that bother you? Don't be so sensitive, right? We don't want to do that. Imagine how you would feel if you were telling someone from your heart, hey, this bothered me. This really upset me. And they were like, well, you shouldn't be bothered. That would upset you more, right? So first of all, if you do something accidentally to upset someone, just apologize. Just say, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that would upset you. And then you can ask them, please tell me why that was harmful to you. And don't force them. Imagine how emotionally draining it would be to have to explain yourself all the time. That's so emotionally draining, right? So if someone responds and they say, okay, I will tell you why that really bothered me, you've got to listen to them, give them a space, hear them, because that's the only way that we grow. Don't tell people they shouldn't be upset. Don't tell them you meant nothing by that, even if you didn't. I know, of course, a lot of people, we say things, and I know in my own life, I have said things out of just things pop out of my mouth, and it would have never occurred to me that that would hurt someone else's feelings or make them feel less safe or make them feel less of a person, but it did. And so I've had to say, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that that was an issue, but now I know, and I'm not going to do that anymore. Why am I not going to do that anymore? Because I value you as a person. That's what you're saying. When you respect someone as a person, and this is my final point, you just have to show respect all the time to everyone. Go out of your way to interact with and communicate with people who are different than you. We make each other better. I am so thankful for the other podcasters in my life, for the other yarn friends in my life who don't look like me, because they make me think of things in a different way. And even if they don't make me think of things in a different way, they don't have to. They don't have to be useful friends in that sense. They can just be people that make my life richer, right? So you can make a difference. And just the baseline is be respectful and try to be a safe person. And this goes for people of color, but it also goes for anybody who is struggling with something. You never know where someone is coming from. You never know what pain they have in their life. So if you're gonna make, as an example, if you're making a bunch of jokes about fat people, there may be someone there who laughs, but that really wounds them. And now you're not a safe person to them anymore. They can't tell you about their past life, even if they no longer have weight, right? And if you make jokes about sexuality, there may be people there who no longer feel safe in your presence because they think that you view them in a certain way. And I find that it's really easy to make blanket statements about groups of people when you don't know someone personally who has touched your heart and impacted your life, right? And is there and has been there in your life, and you love that person because they're beautiful and they're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you know how wonderful they are. But maybe we don't get that far with a lot of people because we don't watch what we say. So hopefully this made sense. I tried to be as clear as possible. I know I've been talking for a long time. As I said before, if you are a person of color and you disagree with any of this or any of this makes you uncomfortable, please tell me. It's not my intent, and I will apologize. I promise you I'll apologize if you're unhappy or that wounded you in some way. And I'll rectify it in the next podcast episode. But we just need to treat each other how we would like to be treated. And this community especially should be the most inclusive and the most wonderful, diverse community there is. Because we're global. We're all over the world. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of it. I hope you feel like this podcast and my group, etc., is a safe space. If you don't, tell me why so that I can work to fix it. And excuse me, I think my voice is going. I do have something special to say at the very end of this episode. I know I've been going on for a long time, but if you have made it this far, I have a surprise giveaway. And it is this bag. I didn't want to say this up front because this giveaway is only for people who have sat through my entire podcast, especially the last part. Because if you have listened all the way through, that means to me that you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to do better, you want to be a safe person, right? And I want to celebrate that. What's celebrated gets replicated, right? So the more we celebrate love and the more we celebrate inclusion, the more it's going to happen. So I am going to give this away. If you would like to be entered in the giveaway, all you have to do is leave a comment down below and tell me one person of color in the fiber community or person of color in general who has made an impact in your life. Or that basically that's it. So one person of color who is in the fiber community, knitting, crochet, weaving, spinning, sewing, one person of color in the crafting community, or a person of color that you know personally, or a person of color that has really changed the way you look at things or made you see something in a new light, or that you just love. Because as I said before, people don't have to be useful. They can just be our friends, right? So tell me, I want to expand my circle. And I've been following all the hashtags, I've been following all the people on Instagram. I've subscribed to a bunch of new podcasts, etc. So I want to keep expanding my circle, and maybe you know somebody who is an amazing maker that I don't know. So comment down below, tell me, and I will draw randomly a winner from those people specifically, not from every YouTube comment. And I just wanted to also give a special shout out. I cannot believe that I did not mention this in the last podcast episode. However, I knew that I had not mentioned these two beautiful people the second I was editing. I was like, I can't believe I forgot that. But it's been a crazy month. So it gives me an opportunity to highlight them by themselves, extra specially. And it is Clarisabeth of the CrochetCakes Podcast and Caroline of the Mind and Muse Podcast. I will leave links directly to their podcasts below. They're from Puerto Rico. They're Hispanic. I have had the wonderful opportunity to meet Clarisabeth in person twice and Caroline once, and they have made such a positive impact on my life. It's like talking to old friends. They're beautiful people. You should subscribe to their podcast. They make amazing, amazing things. You will find nothing but inspiration and making joy. So you definitely need to go follow them. I think I need to stop talking. I'm about out of steam. If you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you would like to be kept up to date on any future videos that come live on this channel, do hit the subscribe button, and you can even hit the little bell if you would like a notification. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and until I see you, find someone to inspire, find someone to encourage, and happy crafting. Bye!